So we just got back from sneaking up to Door County for a few days. Oh man, we just love it up there. There's something about Door County and Peninsula State Park, especially. That's where we love to go back to. It just refreshes me so much, and just it's just so good for a family. Spent a few days up there in this pop up here, and it was so refreshing, and it was so good. One of the things that's interesting about when we go to Door County is that there's always some adventure that ends up happening, some unplanned adventure. There's a few stories I could share with you, but I got to tell you about this time. So after we're camping in the pop-up, and Tuesday morning we wake up, and I knew that there was a chance for showers, and potential some thunderstorms, but in the forecast, but didn't see anything really in the forecast about how strong they would be. And my brother, my little brother Jacob, was telling me, he said, just keep your eye open. He heard something about some strong winds, maybe. Boy, he was right. That morning, from what we've heard, there's reports of 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts that went through Peninsula State Park. And the park actually ended up being closed that day. Now, since we were already camping in there, we were able to stay in the park, but the park was officially closed because there were roads blocked. You couldn't get around. Electricity was off. And there were just trees down everywhere. It was crazy to see the amount of damage. When the wind was blowing and the hail was coming down, something that was pretty cool though was in the middle of that, 6-year-old Ruthie, she goes, Daddy, can we pray that God keeps us and everybody here safe during the storm? And so we did. We said a prayer that we would be safe, that God would keep everybody else safe. And you know what happened? It was pretty amazing. We were safe. And as far as I didn't hear about anybody actually getting injured there, which is really it's amazing that nobody was injured around there. Because seriously, the more we walked around, the more we saw tree down and tree down and tree down, and just to see these big trees toppled over, it really, the more I saw the damage, the more I was amazed that our site was that it was all good. I mean, we have this pop-up potty tent, didn't even blow over, and yet across the next one across from us, big limb down, just down the row, huge trees down. It was amazing. And the more I saw the damage around the trees that were down, the more I appreciated the safety that we were given. And I've realized I think I want to live that way more often. I think sometimes, especially when our world gets crazy and everything, we see the damage. We see the destruction of living in a world that is sinful and broken, and we get caught up in all of that, and we can get focused on that. But what if, when we see the damage, when we see what's broken in the world, what if, instead of that getting us beat down and bogged down, what if it made us appreciate all the more how God has kept us safe? That we have a God who is with us right now. That we have a God who, throughout the Psalms, he says it over and over again, that he is our refuge and our strength and ever-present help. That we have a God in Jesus who, when a storm was blowing in and he was on a boat with his disciples, and the disciples were freaking out, he was asleep because he was in control. That we have a God who, by passing through death and rising again, by Jesus dying on the cross and showing that death wasn't the end, but he rose again to give us victory. That if we have a God who is able to take us through death and out the other side to life, what if when we saw the damage, instead of being so caught up and so consumed with the damage, it made us go, wow, but we have a God who keeps us safe. We have a God who is with us. We have a God who walks us through the storm, and we have a God who's going to bring us safe the other side. Dear God, keep us safe. He does. He does.